For this lesson, use Create New Design from File and select the ujoint.step file, otherwise known as step file. Then, save the design to your current project. The assembly that's on the screen is one that was imported from another CAD system. Trying to select the geometry will prove difficult unless an option is selected. That option is under the Select pull-down and it's Component Drag. However, without selecting it, if you run into this issue, hold the Option or Alt key, and then you can pick and move the components. There is another problem. This design being from a step file, there is no history tracking. Therefore, we're not alerted that the components have been moved and given the option to capture their new position or revert them. So what we'll need to do is undo the moves, then right-click on the browser and turn on Capture Design History. Now, if we move the components, we can always revert them back to their position. Before we begin applying joints to this, I'll select a yoke and tell it to be grounded. That way we have a base point to construct from. Then we'll go to the Assemble tools, and rather than pulling the assembly apart in order to apply regular joints, we'll go under the Assemble pull-down and select the As-Built joint, which has the keyboard shortcut Shift-J. With the As-Built joint selected, for the first joint, we'll select the spring, because that will be the part that moves. The yoke is of course grounded, so we'll select that second. We'll change our motion type to revolute, and then we need to select a rounded edge as a center reference. This will allow the ring spring to spin around, and we'll select that. Now, holding Shift and J, let's select the pin and the yoke. For this, a rigid joint will do. And we'll continue on, this time using the marking menu to start the As-Built joint tool. We'll select the center block and the pin. This time, a revolute joint is needed. And we'll use the center of the pin. I can also, without clicking OK, just simply say Repeat As-Built joint, selecting the block and the next yoke. And since we're still on revolute, picking a rounded edge. Finishing this, we'll pick the spring and the yoke, selecting a rounded edge, and we can click OK. Now, if I click and drag the yoke component or the block component, we should see that we can move this U-joint, including moving the springs, any way we need to make our assembly perform the tasks we need. We can always capture this position or revert it back to its original position if we prefer.